Matthew here from MiniWargaming.com, and this is another sit and talk. So today is Friday, December 13th. Yes, I always have to go and check the date when I say that because I never remember what day it is. So it's Friday the 13th. I think we've had a couple of those this year, it seems. Friday the 13th. So if you're superstitious, just stay home today. But then maybe that's the bad thing. Anyway, just so everybody knows that this is your first time watching this sit and talk, if you want me to answer your questions or comments, make sure you leave them in the comments below on the Mini Wargaming website. If you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link in the video description that goes to the same video on the Mini Wargaming site, and you can leave a comment there. You can register an account for free. It's just so that I have an easier way to print them all off and keep track of them. So we got 7 pages of comments today. And of course, this show is about anything really. We'll talk a lot about wargaming. I just basically answer questions that you have for me. So if you have questions about business, about personal stuff, about wargaming, about board gaming, about whatever. So there is a chance that questions of religion will come up. And while I don't go into huge details about religion in the show, I might discuss it a bit. So if you're easily offended by that, then I would strongly suggest that you don't watch this show. It's the only show where it ever really comes up because, well, the rest of our site's about wargaming. So I've seen concerns in the past. Every once in a while somebody posts a comment saying, you know, I really would rather not even hear anything about religion, but I'm sorry, this show will possibly contain that. It all depends on the questions that I do get because it's such a big part of my life that it naturally comes up. So, you've been warned. It's got a scratch. It is so dry right now because it's winter that everything just dries up. My lips get dry, my skin gets dry, my back especially just gets itchy. Ugh, I hate it. Gotta start just putting moisturizer on all the time. I thought there was something else I needed to talk about before I went to the questions. Well, if there was, I've forgotten, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go through, like I said, I have about 7 pages of comments, which is great. It's actually picked up a little bit since the past few weeks, so that's great. So start with the first one, Vendetta. Matt, what's your opinion on the 2 new supplemental books for 40k, Escalation and Stronghold Assault? I saw this question and I thought, you know, I should probably go and check those out, but I haven't had time. So I actually haven't looked at them at all. From what I understand, they kind of bring in like the super heavies and stuff into the game, and so I'll give you my opinion on that idea. I don't know how they implemented it, so I know that's, like you said, they're causing huge amounts of controversy on all 40k related forums lately. I like the idea of more supplements. I like that. See, Warhammer 40k to me has long since fallen out of favor for tournaments. I know there's still lots of tournaments for 40k, but you just can't take them seriously because in 40k, list building is such a humongous part of it. Like every game, list building is important. But in 40k, there's so much imbalance with them bringing in flyers and psychic stuff that somebody can just bring that cheese list that'll beat most of the other lists out there. And so tournaments kind of boil down, like the really serious tournaments boil down to a few very powerful lists. And then you know the other people who don't know much about it and bring the other stuff that gets beaten into the ground. And if you watch my battle reports, you know that I'm not a tournament type of player. I'm competitive, don't get me wrong, I am super competitive, but I like to try out different things. And often that will lead to not working as well. But it's interesting. I like just having friendly games where we try to beat each other, like there's still that competitive nature to it, but we're both willing to kind of not just power game all the time. And so, for me, more supplements and more data sheets is a good thing because it allows you to play around and experiment with more things. And so, since in my mind 40k is no longer about balance, the more supplements, the more things they can make available, the better. So I haven't actually looked at them, so I can't give you my opinion on those books, but the concept of more supplements, even if they're allowed in any type of game, that's fine with me. Because even for when I play, I always, when we set up a battle report, I always disclose and make my opponent disclose what he's bringing in terms of flyers. I don't make him disclose anything else because I don't want to subconsciously list tailor to his list, but I do want to know if there's flyers or not because it completely changes whether I'll bring them and how I will deal with them. And so since there's so much imbalance in the game, you need to do that. Whereas if you play a game of like War Machine or Infinity, you still have the power gaming and the list building, but you can build a solid list that will be able to beat a lot of different things. There's still like the rock, paper, scissors element to it, that if you bring a certain list that's really good, but they bring a certain list that's really good, and it happens to be the perfect type of list to beat yours. That happens all the time. And, you know, that's going to happen in any game. Like, when you have that many miniatures and that many profiles, you're going to have the imbalance no matter what. So you just have to kind of accept that. But 40k is extremely so. A bogus one. So I've watched mini wargaming for a while, and I've noticed one little thing. Early on in your video making, like early on, your bat reps were simply commentary made while playing the game. Actually, very early on, they were just the turn recaps. So like we would play a turn off camera, and then you turn on the camera and be like, all right, this is what happened. And we'd do that. Found those were very and so that's when we started experimenting with other stuff. Then at some point, most of the bat reps, excluding banter, switched to being voiceovers. I'll admit I don't know much about the workings of your business, but I was wondering why you chose to do voiceover. Why you would choose to voiceover and put in all the extra editing time instead of uploading bat reps with the original audio. Also, it can sometimes get irritating. I'm not criticizing, I'm just honestly interested in your response. Anywho. The original, like if we're going back in time here to when it was just Dave and I making battle reports, I, in that time, got into watching StarCraft battle reports, and I loved them. I still do. But I remember watching them and thinking it would be awesome if there was some way to make our battle reports like these ones, because I'm a bit of a, like, I constantly want to try to change how videos are done so they accomplish two things. One, that they're better, and one, that they're cheaper to make. In other words, they take less time, but at the same time bringing in more and more quality. And so I looked at that and I started to experiment with doing voiceovers, and they were quite successful. People really liked them because I was able to be energetic in my commentary and talk a lot about the rules and everything like that. And so I found that to be successful. Then we started hiring other people, such as Dan, and we have Owen and Jay now. And we kind of went between the two types. But when it comes to editing, this actually doesn't take that long to edit the voiceover ones, if you record them properly. So editing is not really the factor here. It's more the factor of the excitement that you have to portray when you're doing the voiceover. So it can be a little taxing because of that. And if you're doing a lot of them, then you can start to lose a bit of that enthusiasm. And so that's kind of a problem with them. But they have an advantage in that, like for example, Jay and Owen go to Black Knight Games and they play there to make their battle reports. And there's a lot of other people there. And so by doing voiceovers, they kind of eliminate the problem of sound, or what people might be saying in the background. But having said that, it's funny that you should ask that, because we're now going to start to experiment with doing the opposite and incorporating a little more of the banter style, but not so much how Dave does it. See, Dave's banter bat reps really focus on the people and the banter between them, and that's what makes them interesting. Whereas I'm not necessarily trying to do that, but if you've watched my Infinity battle reports, you'll get an idea of the style that we're going to try to experiment with and try to perfect. And that's where you're just explaining what's happening with an excitable voice, because you're right in the midst of it, and you're able to kind of give more of what's going on and why it's going on in that way. And then you're able to capture those moments where somebody's like, oh, because you're there and you're already recording, and they do that, and you can flip up the camera and see the person like, it's like getting really upset or really happy or whatever, and you get those moments as well. Now the disadvantage of that is they're a little longer, typically, than a voiceover battle report. Like I just did a 40k one this week, 2 of them actually, and the one battle report is an hour long, whereas if I did the voiceover, it probably would have been around 35 to 40 minutes, just judging based on having done so many of them. So it does make them a little longer, but I think it's more interesting. So we'll be looking for your feedback on that, of course, but Jay and Owen will be starting to do that as well. And we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. So yeah, but that's kind of why we switched it, and it was working really well, but it's a little different when you start to incorporate other people as well. So, Canuck Duck, I'm glad you support the military. Thanks. To answer your question, everyone in the military does BMQ, Basic Military Qualification, for 12 weeks. Army personnel do a month of soldier qualification, then infantryers go for 17 weeks on DP1, which is advanced infantry training, including fieldcraft, snowshoeing, skiing, tactics, advanced weapons, digging a crap ton of foxholes and sitting in them for hours. I saw a video of yours a while ago with the Imperial Guard Canadians. I saw a guy with the Imperial Guard Army who also had CAD-PAT. It's incredible that people are able to do things like that. It looks so good. Funny thing about 40K is the vehicle scale. You can usually fit 10 or so guys in a transport, but if you compare the models of the vehicle, they look like 4 to 5 guys could fit in. I know it's not a big deal, but I just can't help compare it to how we fit 7 guys in a lab, in LAV, or LAV, I'm not sure what that is. Basically sitting in each other's laps. Do you guys have a company Christmas party? Okay, well, alright, so going back to that. Yeah, scaling is definitely off, and I think there's a reason for that. Is because if you did everything to scale, then the bigger stuff would be too big. The Land Raider had to be bigger, the Warhound Titans and other Titans would just have to be ginormous. So scaling is it's not to scale. Like you look at the size of the board, the guy should be able to fire much further than that, and yet their bolt pistols can only go 12 inches. Well, it's all abstract, or abstract, so we kind of have to allow for that. Do you guys have a company Christmas party? Sometimes, not always. Sometimes we like have a dinner or something like that. It's my first Christmas away from home, so I'm going to experience the different ways people do things for the holidays. Does your family have any special traditions? Well, our tradition, I don't know if they're special because it's with family, but I don't know if by special you mean unique. I don't think so. With my family, we do it on Christmas Eve. We have our Christmas Day on Christmas Eve day, because then on Christmas Day I go to my wife's family, and so that's just the way it works out. I really like having Christmas Day on Christmas Eve, because it takes a lot of stress away, and you're just able to have a nice open day, whereas Christmas Day ends up being a little more hectic because we have like 2 family dinners, one with my wife's family and then one with my family as well. Like the Christmas Eve one is just my immediate family, like my parents and my siblings and their kids, and then the one on Christmas Day is like with all the extended family, all the uncles and aunts and grandparents. So that can get a little busy, so I like the pacing of it. Sorry for it being so long. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and you too. D-Flame. Hey Matt, what happened to your Tactica talks with Owen? Really enjoyed those. Please do more. And thanks for an awesome site. D-Flame. Excuse me. That was more just for Space Marine Week. It wasn't necessarily something we were going to continue doing, but it doesn't mean we won't do it again. Just no plans for it. Owen and Jay are very busy with battle reports, and that's the main thing that they're cranking out right now. Mr. Wizard, hi Matt. When you read an idea on these videos that you like, do you write it down after and then bring it up in a staff meeting sometime later? And more generally, how do you come up with your video series? Example, how did you come up with the idea for the Minecraft videos? We kind of just wing it, if I'm being honest. Do I write down ideas? Sometimes. We discuss ideas. It's more like I get up and I go over it. Like our staff meeting is I go over and talk to Dave, or he comes over and talks to me about something, and then we implement it, or we do not. That's usually how things go. For example, how did I come up with the idea for the Minecraft videos? Well, I've just wanted to play Minecraft with my wife, and I finally got a second computer, and I said we should make Minecraft videos. That's how I did it. Or the Dreadball League. Dreadball stuff was kind of around, and I looked at it, and I played it, and I liked it, and I thought it'd be really cool if we did a league. Dreadball League. So it's just like that. It's nothing too complicated. Mr. Wizard, Matt, you are right that people stereotype, and they can be true. My opinion is that they don't really describe someone in any sort of meaningful way, as you lose a lot of the person's subtleties and don't learn about any other aspects of their life. Of course, stereotyping is more just, as human beings, we'd like to try to figure out something as quickly as possible, and so there's those initial impressions, and that's important. That's why first impressions are so important. But of course, the more you get to know somebody, I hope that you would be able to go beyond any stereotypes of those. And you shouldn't even use stereotypes necessarily, but they do influence the way we think when we first come across somebody. This guy, Ducky. Hey Matt, thank you for answering my questions. You're welcome. I agree with that tabletop gamers are looked down upon. I joked with one of my friends that I am a closet wargamer. Also, have you considered making a mini wargaming Minecraft server? No, because I don't want to maintain it. The college I attend, tech department, actually hosts a server, but it gets closed down during school break, so I'm looking for a server. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do a Minecraft server. I'm not that into Minecraft. Like, we play it, but not as crazy as some people. I stole your heart. Matt, do you think there will ever be professional wargaming as large as professional esports? No. I personally think it has the potential if ways were made to make filming live easier and if there was enough money put into it. No, I don't think so. It's not as big a market. That's what it comes down to. Like, StarCraft alone, I think, has the same size market as all of miniature wargaming. Like, what does Games Workshop do? 200 to 300 million a year? Like, one computer game can make that much. A good computer game, mind you. Or heck, it can make more than that. StarCraft 2 probably made more than that. Or at least somewhere around there. So one computer game. One! Never mind all the other ones, League of Legends and all the other ones that have gotten really popular for the esports kind of thing. So no, I don't think it could ever become like that. Also, you might want to contact McAfee about the Mini Wargaming website, as their site advisor seems to think it's malicious. Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. Eldrad 101, Matt, I'm thinking about having a painting commission done. Who do you recommend? It would be whom do you recommend? Just joking. Well, it's true, but just joking. There's a lot of good painting commission services out there. Obviously, Blue Table Painting's been around probably the longest, and so they've got a really good system down and good turnaround times, and so they're good with that. But then you get all the other ones too. You get a lot of the smaller ones, and they can do well. And like Brush for Hire is good. I've used Brush for Hire has done a lot of stuff for us, and he's done fantastic jobs on it. There's a few new ones that I've been working with that have been doing our Mini Wargaming Space Marine chapters, and they've done really well, like Moonlight Miniatures, if you want to look up that one, or Painted to Play, or hold on, Cold Table Painting, or Cold Painting Table, one or the other. A lot of these are 1 or 2 man operations, but they've done fantastic work for us. Or Adam from Greenleaf Terrain, he's done some really good stuff. These are all people, I've worked with a lot of different painters, and a lot of them have done fantastic jobs. There's been painters who I won't mention who have done less than adequate jobs. I just simply won't recommend them. I won't badmouth them. You won't hear me recommend them, that's all. So any of those really will work well. Pricing wise, I couldn't tell you who's the best quality for the price. It's because the pricing strategy is going to be all over the place. So if you're on a budget, then you might want to shop around. But if you're just going for quality, then any of those will do. So yeah, hopefully that narrows it down for you. Georgia Josh. Hey Matt, thanks for answering my question. You're welcome. I should have elaborated before. I actually work in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia's capital, in a county where the population is around 843,000, so I don't think there's a shortage of people. Definitely not. Definitely big enough for a store. My store is actually, unless it's like, it happens to be the demographics are really weird, like it's 843,000 but it's like all retirement, then obviously it wouldn't be as good, but it's unlikely. My store is actually a second location of a more popular shop on the side of town without a gaming store. Thank you for the tips. I'll do my best to implement them and update you sometime down the road. Then you have a great opportunity there. That's what it sounds like. On another note, have you ever watched American football before? Yes. If not, I think you should give it a try, though it can be a little confusing since there are a lot of rules, so you may feel a tad overwhelmed. Yeah, I've watched football before. I'm not a huge sports guy, so not many sports interest me enough to get into them. Like, I like watching them now and again, except for baseball, it's boring. But hockey and football, even basketball, I enjoy watching. Commenting on the whole nerds versus the world discussion, in the US the word nerd is becoming cool. A lot of it has to do with the video game industry exploding in the last 10 or 15 years, in my opinion, especially with the advent of sporting games, racing games, and of course shooters, as well as a drastic improvement of graphics. I guess what I'm trying to say is that being a nerd is more socially acceptable than it was, definitely. Even back when I was going through high school 7 or 8 years ago. As far as people that roleplay and enjoy wargaming, how is that any different from the cool people that obsess over fantasy football and fantasy baseball, that have all their player stats memorized and have drafting parties? Well, the difference is because that's sports, and sports is for jocks, and jocks are the cool guys. That's the culture. That's been there forever, and it might change over the long run, but for now that's the way it is. If you don't have similar stuff going on in Canada, then you might not get the reference. No, I know what fantasy football leagues and all that kind of stuff are. What's cool and what isn't cool is all subjective anyway. Sorry for the long-winded post, but there is a lot to talk about. Yeah, if your group of friends makes fun of you for playing wargaming and they make you uncomfortable and they make you unhappy to be around because of that, then obviously you need a new group of friends. A friend will accept the way that you do. They might poke and prod, but you know, that's what we do with each other. We kind of poke fun at the differences between us. Philomillipede. DP1 is your first trade-specific training course after basic military qualifications, soldier qualifications. For the military, that interests you in the key. Yeah, okay, so somebody else said that. On the same note, I received the same reaction when I told people about my wargaming hobby, but they got over it pretty quickly. In fact, through talking about it, I discovered several other players on my own DP1, converted a few, and found out about the Warhammer Club in CFB Gagetown. Just keep doing what you're doing and don't let people talk you down. You'll be better off for it, and they'll respect you for sticking to your guns. Besides, if they make fun of you, I'm sure they've all done stupid stuff. You can make fun of them right back. Tyler6298, woot woot, morning people for the win. Morning people for the win, yes. The 40k League is cool and all, but it seriously lacks Tau. Where are all my Fire Warriors at? Sorry. Wait, did the head of Mini Wargaming just say that entertainment is not the most important part of life? What? Wow, you've posted a lot of different comments here, Tyler. Oh, come on, Matt. You won't say it because of controversy. Pretty please, I really want to know. There's something I said that I wouldn't say, but I don't remember what it was. Tyler6298, whoa, whoa, whoa. What did you say? Did you honestly just associate video games with lack of social life? Perhaps video games were once about people sitting in front of a screen for hours, having no human interaction and losing their lives. Today, this is quite the opposite. I'm interested about this. Video games are one of the most popular forms of socialization. That is kind of a sad statement. Whether it be via online chat or playing online with friends over Skype, video games keep people connected with their friends, even when they can't talk to them directly. Okay, I get what you're saying, but I will respectfully disagree. It's social, you're right, that is a type of socializing. Just like Facebooking each other is a type of socializing. But it's not the best type of socializing. The best form of socializing is in person. And I'm sure there's even probably scientific studies that'll back me up. And if there aren't right now, in 10 or 20 years, there will be. Because there's a big difference between socializing face-to-face than electronically, even if there's a voice involved. Like even just by telephone all the time, it's not the same as the face-to-face. It's just, there's just so much more to connect. The body language, the experience of being together. And I'm not talking even about guys and girls together, I'm just talking about friends, just in general, everything. It's the same reason that church will never become everybody sit at home and just connect via Skype and we'll do church that way. Like I'm sure that there are some out there that do that, especially if it's remote locations, but as a whole, it'll never change that way because you need the social aspect of it to support each other and just anything like that. And so yes, I will say that video games are less socializing than miniature war games, which bring people together, or board gaming, which bring people together, or anything else for that, or sports, which bring people together and have physical exercise. So yes, somebody whose major source of social interaction are through a microphone, through a video game, yes, I would say that's lacking a good, healthy social life. That's what I would say. A lot of people are going to disagree, but I think that it's not as hard to understand that as other things I might say that people might disagree with. And then Tyler, another comment, something I've been toying around with, a one-player 40k game where you play whatever army and then the enemy is NIDs. They get extra points, maybe 20%, and they only use instinctual behavior. Being that I don't really play NIDs or know them that well, I need your opinion. Would that work? Well, it won't work for two reasons. One, instinctual behavior no longer forces them just to charge the nearest thing. It just changes the special rules that they have. And two, why would you want a one-player 40k game? Because which ironically we're talking about social life right here. That it's like playing chess against yourself. Like you just can't do that. You can play against a computer opponent, and the computer can kind of make it so that it's a little more random. But no, one player games, like computer games, can work for one player because you're essentially playing against the computer. But no, I don't think one player game would work. Sun Hunter, about mini wargaming is less interesting since Dan left, and you responding, everyone has his preferred things. It's normal changes not always goes for the better for everyone. Fact, mini wargaming bat rep style has changed a lot since 1 or 2 years. Select any random old bat rep in one of Jay's or Dave's new ones. You need to go back at least sometimes to your old style bat reps, aka more tutorial oriented, closer to the track of the game. When you listen to Owen or Jay now, you feel that even they have trouble to follow the images. They don't always know what people are throwing the dice. Make some bat reps sometimes a little more slowly, tutorially, and as you were used to. Please. I agree. I agree. In fact, I just did a couple 40k bat reps, which will be going up next week. And so watch those and tell me what you think. Because I did, and also, yeah, I explain more of the rules and why things are happening, which makes it a little longer. But I do agree. I totally agree. I think we need some sort of like revitalization for our battle reports to kind of make them very interesting. I still think they're good, but I think they could be better. Fishy Swass. Hey Matt, loving your Minecraft videos. Not sure if you saw my comment on YouTube, but your sugarcane farm will work. I fixed it. You posted this and I posted the video since then. In fact, the same day I posted that first video, we'd already done the second video where I fixed it. Yeah, I just had the redstone mechanism 1 block away. And for some reason I assumed that Helldrakes have the same armor as a Storm Raven. Duh me. Alright. Alright, Big JD. Hi Matt, when are we going to see a video of the mini wargaming chapter? Well, I just played 2 games of 40k, and the second one, which will be in the vault, features the new Space Marines. Now, mind you, they're just a 1,200 point list, and it's just like vanilla, and there's not very much interesting in it, but it shows the color scheme at least. I won't tell you what happened. Really want to see those guys in action, and also if you had to choose between your favorite food and Warhammer, which would you choose? Depends. Am I hungry? If I'm hungry, I choose my favorite food. If I'm not hungry, and I have time for a game, I'd choose Warhammer. And then I eat my favorite food. Ice Cool. Hey man. Hi man, I'm a Vault member and love your stuff. Awesome. But what happened to X-Wing miniature game? Yours, Eric from Norway. What happened to it? It was never something that we were going to do long term. Doesn't mean that we won't do it again. It's just that it's kind of a game that you can't play forever because well, the updates aren't really there. They went, honestly, their delays in manufacturing really kind of drew a lot of energy out of it for me. But also, we played a ton of it. We played a lot of X-Wing, and after a while, it's a game that you can only play so many ways. And while you might experience the same thing, but over a longer course of time. See, I played a lot of it all at once, and so after a while, I started to get tired of it. I will definitely play it again because I really like the game. I really like it. I have like gamer ADD, where I can't play the same thing for too long. Like the Infinity ones, I love them. And the thing that's keeping me interested in them is that I'm able to switch armies really easily, whereas like in a game like 40k and War Machine, it's a lot harder to switch armies. So I think I'm going to be able to play Infinity for longer because I can keep switching up the armies and making it interesting that way. And companies keep sending me their new terrain, which is awesome because I even get to switch up the terrain. Star Wars couldn't do that. So yeah. So you're not going to see it covered as often. We might kind of go through spurts. They come out with a new wave of miniatures, and so I want to play a bunch of games with that. And like that. So that's just kind of going to be the nature of those kind of games. The same thing with Dreadball. Right now we're doing the League, but once the League is over, you probably won't see tons of it all the time. Yeah, it's just really what it comes down to. Mo Brunel 6. Off for the holidays? Good for you guys. Spend time with your family and loved ones. The miniature battles can wait. And happiest of holidays to all at Mini Wargaming. Thank you. Kurt 86. Matt, is there a chance, any chance, you can get a staff member to sit with you for the sit and talks to answer questions with you with their point of view? Just so we can get to know them as well, unless they're all shy. Well, they're not shy. They're not here. Like Dave's here, but he's busy. And Owen and Jay have different hours. The show's about me. It's not about them. I don't want to share the spotlight. Although it would be interesting. I do agree. It's always interesting to have a second person to kind of bounce things off of. But that's not what this show is. Kurt 86. Who's the biggest potty mouth there? We've only heard one person swear in a bat rep. It was hilarious. Owen. I assume it'd be pretty tame around there. You know what? The guys are pretty good. I don't really hear them swearing that much. So I don't know who I'd say is the biggest potty mouth. Probably Chris. I just heard Dave say Chris. Yeah, probably Chris. So, and he'd probably admit that too, so I can say it. Halloween Wolf 1337. Matt, I still remember that you had a Drop Zone Commander army painted. I'm going to start that, but the web lacks bat reps. There are some of Blue Table painting, but they lack Mini Wargaming finesse. Are you going to do Mini Wargaming bat reps for Drop Zone Commander? Love the way you're explaining to other games. The Drop Zone Commander army is painted, but there was some shipping problems, and so have we received that stuff yet? No, so it's not even here yet. So we've been waiting for a little while for that. Once I get it, we will do some battle reports with it, but I don't know if we're going to cover it heavily for a couple of reasons. One, we just lack the resources to cover all these different games, and so I have to be selective. And no, that's the reason. There's not a second reason. One, that's the reason. But yeah, we will probably do a couple battle reports because it's the new starter set that they have with all the plastics, which is really cool. Grimlock. Matt, you should read YouTube comments sometimes. Also, you should tell people at the beginning of the show to leave their comment on Mini Wargaming because people are asking your questions on YouTube. I say that at the beginning of every single one, like within the first 2 minutes of the video. So if people miss that and they post it there, I'm sorry to say it's kind of their own fault for not paying attention. Grendel, my favorite sci-fi writer is Timothy Zahn. He did the Thrawn series of Star Wars books, but I really love his non-Star Wars books. He's really clean, but his stories are really good. Why can't those two go together? It's funny that you say that. He's really clean, but you know his stories are actually good. As if you need to be not clean in order for your stories to be good. I know that's not what you're saying. It's just kind of funny that that's how it worded. I recommend his Cobra series, Quadrail series, or his Conqueror series. Just my 2 cents. I'll have to remember that recommendation. Pat Rat, 123. Matt, as a Christian, I'm curious. I have several Mormon friends, and they've told me that they don't use the symbol of the cross because they don't wish to symbolize Christ's death. But the cross is meant to be a constant reminder of Christ's sacrifice. We use it to never forget what he did for us. This is the same reason we celebrate Easter. Thoughts? We celebrate Easter. We don't use the cross because mainly we focus on the resurrection, which obviously is the opposite of his death. So we use we focus on Jesus Christ. Obviously, the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ. And every week at our church meetings, we have our sacrament, which is to remember him. And so we do lots of things to remember his sacrifice. Not putting down Christians for using the cross or anything. That's just something we focus more on the resurrection than the cross. So that's why. And we do celebrate Easter. And this goes for anybody that has religious questions. Feel free to post them here. But if you want to have a more in-depth conversation about them, I'd love to. I love talking about religion, as you probably know. Just email me personally, Matthew@miniwargaming.com. And you can ask me whatever questions you want, and don't worry about insulting me. If you're just directly, like, horribly insulting and obviously offensive, I simply will delete your email and not respond. But if you have real questions that you want to discuss, Matthew@miniwargaming.com, I would love to do it. Luefi81, speaking of being a nerd because of being a wargamer who collects and paints models, yes, I'm a nerd. A proud one. Proud of being a total nerd. When it comes to my hobbies like PnP role-playing and Warhammer 40k, when people try to make fun of that fact, I always go like, oh, sorry, I should totally have expected you to not understand this. It's okay. Not everyone is able to get it. Just ignore it. Most of it includes reading. Close quote. And you're fine if they get the joke, or better, the little wink that they're just not really understanding what it's all about. And that's okay. I'm 32 years old, and I don't even have a driver's license because I don't need a car in this town. And when friends start to talk about cars, I'm always like, sorry man, but I just don't get what you're talking about. I'm not good informed about cars. But you remember our discussion about wargaming? There you have it. Just vice versa. That sounded like a speech. That's why all of a sudden they started doing it as a speech. That's awesome. Very awesome. Where do you live that you don't need a driver's license? It's like you must be in the middle of a really big city where they have lots of really good public transportation. I live in Welland. If I didn't have a driver's license, I wouldn't be able to get anywhere. Rob the Robot. Hey Matt, since other companies like Blue Table Paint and Beasts of War, and I assume others are doing paid content, have you ever thought about partnering with other companies to make a larger all-in-one ultimate miniature gaming source for paid content for one price? The thought has crossed my mind, but there's no real reason to do it. If two companies are doing the same thing, merging doesn't make sense. Unless one's buying the other, like actually taking over the other. But it doesn't really make sense to do that. Captain Obvious. Hey Matt, after listening to this version of Sit and Talk, I'm thinking back to past ones of people saying mini wargaming got them into the hobby, mainly 40k. From what I can see, GW should be kissing the ground you walk upon, the numbers will be huge. I don't know if I agree with that. I have to kiss the ground I walk on, but it would be nice if they worked with us. In their defense, one thing that might go through their mind would be, sure, you get people into it, but we've built the market. So what you're really doing is you're servicing the market that we've already built, and then you're actually exposing a lot of that market to other games, such as War Machine, Infinity, Dreadball, and the likes of that. And so they might see it that, yeah, you might be getting people into wargaming, but you're also taking some away and putting them into other miniature war games. And they might see that it's actually more going than coming. I don't agree with that, because Warhammer 40k is so much more accessible than these other games. And there's just been countless people who have said that we've gotten them back into, because even if we are servicing just the existing market, which isn't true. We definitely get people who've never been into wargaming. But let's say we were only servicing those who are already into it and who already played Warhammer. You're still encouraging them to play more, and to paint more, and to buy more, and all that kind of stuff. So you're giving them the interesting things that keep them in the hobby. Because if there's one thing that's hard about this hobby, it's staying in it at full tilt. Because this hobby takes a lot. It takes a lot of your time, it takes a lot of your effort, it takes a lot of your energy, whereas other hobbies such as video games don't. They take a lot of your time, but they're a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to just open up a computer game and start playing, or buy a new computer game and start playing. Whereas in this hobby, it takes more effort. There's also, I find that there's probably more satisfaction in the long run, because after countless hours, you have this nice looking army to look at, whereas in a video game, you have maybe stats of a character to look at, but you get bored of that, right? So it's definitely more satisfying. But they need to provide that motivation for their viewers. And of course they do, but other companies that help them with that, such as us, they should work with. like Infinity does. I'd also like to enforce you considering doing Lord of the Rings miniatures. There may not be enough people to play, but I would love to see you doing the narrative battle, even if it's first yourself. And you could even use your Helm's Deep terrain. After all, Lord of the Rings started mini wargaming, and I feel you should be giving it more credit, even if 40k etc. is more popular. Maybe just some side videos, please. I want to. I honestly do. Our resources are limited, but that doesn't mean that I won't do it. It just means that I might do it eventually. Because I do want to do it. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of the game. It's just that we've been doing Games Workshop stuff so heavily. I don't want to decrease that, but if we're going to go into smaller scale games like Lord of the Rings or Necromunda or Blood Bowl, then we might as well do other manufacturers and kind of help grow the industry that way. So instead of like Blood Bowl, we play Dreadfall, and we play Infinity, and instead of like Necromunda, not that Infinity is like Necromunda, but it's like it in the sense that it's a small scale game with an interesting campaign system that I do want to eventually start working with. So that's kind of the mentality that I have, that 40k and fantasy, very important, especially 40k, so we need to make sure we cover that well, and we're working on trying to cover it even better. But if we're going to go into smaller scale games, we might as well start to support other manufacturers who will actually work with us, who will actually send us stuff, who will actually appreciate it, and who need the advertising. Really what it comes down to. That's really what it comes down to. So I want to do Lord of the Rings, but there's a lot of other political things at play, as well as business and financial things at play too. Then moving on, have you planned anything special for Christmas? Yes, we're taking 2 weeks off. I know you're not working for 2 weeks, but it would be nice to have one big battle with all the employees involved, or something to keep us all busy for a few hours. Gotta love the Christmas spirit. No, we're not planning anything special. Doesn't mean we won't, but nothing planned so far. Chaos Dylan. Matt, is Dave LDS 2 plus great video? So you're asking if Dave is Mormon as well? Yes, he is. And thank you. 3266, hey Matt, keep up the great work. If reply before Merry Christmas, if not, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year. Sorry, it's been a long time, just busy. Just been on tournament in UK. The new thing they are trying to stop there, Riptide or Rith or Demon Prince, is called Highlander, so can only one of each choice. Yeah, Highlander is a War Machine thing too. It's a Highlander format where you're only allowed to bring one of each thing. So you can only have one squad of like if you're playing Necrons, for example, you'd have to bring one squad of Warriors and one squad of Immortals. And there's, yeah, basically only one of each thing. Everything is, you're not allowed to have more than one of. Okay, so troops are fine. Oh, I guess troops are fine. Example, flying high, turn with Twin Link Devours. Yeah. So Aeon, hi Matt, I like the Minecraft series. About books, I want to recommend you the 3 books in the Chronicles of Ynys Ael series, Echoes of the Fourth Magic, The Witch's Daughter, and Bastion of Darkness by R.A. Salvatore. I like the books very much. I read them when I was in school. That's already about 10 to 12 years ago. I read each of the books in about 2 days. When I started reading the books, I couldn't stop reading them. The books were published in 98, 99, and 2000. So they're a little older now, but I still like them very much. Books don't get dated as quickly as other things, so it's okay that they're older. I like it very much. The mini wargaming started to cover Infinity. Since I got into that game, I haven't played my War Machine and Hordes army. The Order and ARO system is a big seller of the game for me. It is a fun system. Miso. Matt, I've said it before, but I'd love to see you do a Let's Play of Portal 1 and 2. Would make for very good media content. After you finish your Minecraft, you could even do a video of the 2-player missions. Those are hilarious. That would be interesting, especially watching Holly try to play it properly. Big Gaz J, hey Matt and all the mini wargaming crew. I hope you have or have had a great Christmas. Hold on 1 second. Where is? Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm gonna read that again. I hope you have had or have a great Christmas. Well, we will hopefully have a great Christmas. I want to give my view on the guy who was saying about being a lonely wargamer, having been there myself in the UK. And my local GW is over an hour away on public transport, but after being into the hobby for nearly 20 years now, I decided to put the effort in and go up there every Thursday that I can to learn 40k. And in a year on, I'm now part of a gaming club which has over 100 members, and I've collected over 6,000 points in Necrons in only a year. Awesome. Just one more thing from me, Matt. I do read a lot of the background for 40k and build my armies from small bits of fluff, like Necrons fighting the Blood Angels over a planet and then teaming up to fight the Tyranids. They're my 3 main armies. Every now and then I go back and read things a second time. And did you know the Necrons seem to be awakening now as a direct response to the Tyranid invasion of the galaxy? My question is, do you ever build armies to fluff? And also, do you name your characters as I do? I didn't know that for the whole Tyranid and Necron thing. And do I build my armies to fluff? Yeah, definitely. Just for fun. And do I name my characters? No, I don't name my characters. Warlord Scantor 97. Hello for Kentucky. Hello, Kentucky. I recently looked at Dark Potential and I was wondering, how's it going? Are there any funding issues? Any investments? Will it have army books similar to Warhammer or anything like that? Dark Potential, the miniatures game, is currently on hold. And I know I've been saying that for a while, but it is, because we're just trying to focus on building up the rest of the business. I would say if funding issues would probably be the best answer to why we're not continuing to do it right now. But I've said this before, when we originally started the Dark Potential Indiegogo campaign, my intent was never to actually make the full game, it was just to make a handful of miniatures. It went so well that I got ahead of myself and decided to make a lot more stuff, and then I realized a year after that I'm like, okay, we can't do this right now. We just don't have the resources for it, time and money. And so it's on the back burner, and to be addressed at a later date. Hetzer. The voiceover style does not really suit every bat rep producer. In many of Jay's battle reports, for example, I sometimes cannot really follow the game and do not know why those dice are thrown. And you can tell by his narration that Jay feels the same. Using the original audio suits him much better. Owen is okay at voiceovers, although he sometimes seems a little bored, mostly in 40k. His fantasy and War Machine battle reports are usually good and interesting, as he really seems to get into those games. Your voiceovers are the only ones that have a constant, very high quality, as those are always well narrated and transparent enough to follow. Greetings from Germany. Happy holidays. Yeah, and I discussed that, so I'll leave that at that. I agree. Thermo. Hi, Matt. We have 300 plus YouTube subscribers who would agree with Captain Obvious with a desire to see you guys do at least one Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, strategy battle game bat rep, especially with the Desolation of Smog movie being released. But if you don't feel like this is something which will happen anytime soon, feel free to recommend the GBHL YouTube channel for Captain Obvious and the like, in your best promotional voice, for all your Hobbit hobby content. Shameless plug, but we appreciate your support. It's Desolation of Smog week, so lots to be excited about. We'd love to maybe do a Skype interview with you someday in the future for the channel if this is something you would consider. Yeah, we do that. My question there seems to be, although correct me if I'm wrong, a growing number of comments related to releases of bat reps and also the changing of styles of bat reps, and a degree of disappointment, perhaps not universal, but vocal nonetheless. What do you think about these opinions and how do they affect your plans going forward? Is mini wargaming better than ever, or are there some things you accept need to be changed? Keep up the good work, James. Well, you've already heard me talk about it, so you know that I do agree that things need to be changed. I also agree that it's a vocal amount of vocal people, meaning that you don't always get the idea of what the general population thinks based on the few people who are very vocal about their comments. So we have to weigh that. It's actually really hard, because those comments are loud, and so it makes you think like, oh, does everybody think this? But there's, out of the thousands of people who watch the videos, not thousands of people comment. So really what we have to look at are trends in the views of the videos. And I think it's time to improve. I really think it is. We've had an interesting year going through all sorts of stuff, with the store shutting down and just kind of readjusting our strategies, and just a lot of things have happened in the past year. We're still growing, meaning like we're still learning what is a good idea and what isn't a good idea and everything like that. So we're learning a lot still. If we give off the impression of being like this long-running company that really knows what they're doing, well, that's not correct. We're still a small company, just half a dozen people, only been around for about 6 years. We're happy with what we've been doing, but we still have a ton to learn and a lot to improve. So of course we're open to feedback. And of course we realize that not all feedback is what everybody thinks. So we have to kind of look at trends and what people are watching and what people are saying and try to respond accordingly. But I do agree, we do need to improve our battle reports. I do really agree with that. Fishy Swass, hey Matt, are you excited about the new Tyranid rumors? Discuss. I am. I saw some stuff on Daka, their new models coming up for like the Tyranid Prime and the Harpy, and a few other, the Hive Guard have new models, and there's some interesting new things that are coming out. The one model I didn't like the look of, I can't remember what it was called, but it looked almost Nurgly, and I don't like that. Tyrannids don't look Nurgly, they don't look all pustule and stuff. They're more like a bug type of thing. Like, I know like the Termagants have that sack that the Termagants come out of, but like, that's about it. And maybe like the weapons have a little sack where the venom stuff comes out. But I don't want them to start changing the look of them to be more like looking like Chaos. But it was just a one model, so it might still look really awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Tyranid release a lot. Captain Obvious. Also, Matt, just a quick, quite curious question. Why above each comment is there a delete button that does nothing? Because I need to fix that. A fellow wargamer. Matt, what Tyranid unit would you like to see updated in the new Tyranid Codex coming soon? Also, the rumors say Tyranids will get their own Psyker table, but no Biomancy. Does that make you upset? Biomancy seemed a little... seems a little overpowered for Tyranids, so as much as I'd like to see that stay, if they get their own Psyker table, that's good. Then I'll be happy with that. So yeah. What would I like to see? What Tyranid would I like to see updated? Gene Stealers. They need to get some of their umph back. Chesscore, have you considered doing a survival game or Tekkit FTP video for Minecraft? Or an adventure map? There are a few Warhammer inspired ones. We're just kind of playing for fun. We might do some other stuff in the long run, but just whatever. It's not really a serious thing, it's just we got the videos and we're just kind of throwing them up. Sometimes we play and we don't record. So I'm not sure what we'll do there. Coventry J, hey Matt, DP1 stands for Development Phase 1. Thank you! Everybody keeps saying it. I even asked what it stands for. And finally someone said, Development Phase 1. It is your final trades training after all your basic training. I'd also like to throw a shout out to that 3PP CLI member. Hang in there, brother. There are more of us than you think. Members of my platoon, myself included, play a variety of 40k fantasy and Warhammer Hordes. Also, a ton of my friends who came back from Afghanistan got into Warhammer after playing it over there. The calm relaxation of assembling and painting has also been a huge help for dealing with stress. From a fellow infanteer, Betamax. If I didn't live in Australia, I would be down there gaming every week. That's too bad. Stumpy McPatch. More a question for Dave than you, but if you could, ask him why he can consider himself a Chaos player if he hasn't started collecting demons yet. I mean, come on, if he likes Khorne so much, why hasn't he fielded the Bloodthirster yet, at least as an ally? Bloodthirsters are cool. He's not here. So my opinion would be because he likes Chaos Space Marines. And they're cool. Fabian, you ever plan on wearing that shirt I gave you? Just finally got washed. I saw it. It was being folded the other day. And just because you don't see it in this video doesn't mean I don't wear it. Jeez, man. Jeez. Random Idiot 2. Well, at least you're honest. I just had a thought. Can remember briefly a survey you made a while ago about people starting wargaming. I would think it would be interesting to see what the results be now after GBLA has closed many of their online sites. Keep up the good work. Would be interesting, although a survey from us, of course, is not statistically sound because it deals with our audience, of course, but it still gives some interesting information. That is all the questions. Thank you very much for watching. If you want your comment or question answered, make sure you post it in the comments below on Mini Wargaming. If you're on YouTube watching this, click on the link in the video description to go there now. And I probably do another one of these before Christmas, but if I don't, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and Happy Wargaming.